Viewers, as you know, that Egyptian President Abdul Fatah Al Sisi has threatened of direct military intervention in Libya if red lines of Sirte and Al Jufra are crossed by Turkey and GNA. Now, Egypt is not the only backer of General Haftar in Libya. Russia, UAE, and France, they also back Haftar. Why is that only Egypt is threatening of direct military intervention in Libya? Why aren't Russia, France, and UAE threatening of such direct military intervention in Libya? What is the reason behind this threat of Egypt? Why is Egypt more concerned with Libya than other countries like Russia, UAE, and France? Firstly, viewers, you know that Egypt borders Libya. Eastern part of Libya, it borders Egypt, and this is a long border, around 1000 kilometers long, this border. So Egypt is the country which will be directly affected by this war if it spreads into eastern Libya. Russia won't be affected directly. Russians, they will just pack up and leave. They'll be just embarrassed if Turkey and GNA take control of eastern Libya. Same is the case with UAE. UAE will be embarrassed. They will pack up and leave. They will just stop financing Haftar. They don't border Egypt. The same is the case with France, viewers. So it is only Egypt out of all the backers of Haftar which borders Libya. And that is why if this war spreads into eastern Libya, Egypt will be directly affected by this war, and no country on earth, whether a democratic or an authoritarian, whatever a country is, they don't want wars near their borders. They want wars in other countries. They want to keep them as away from their borders as possible. So very natural if Egypt is threatening of this direct military intervention in Libya. Now, second thing, viewers, if you remember when Muammar Gaddafi was overthrown, and after that we saw that several militias, they started appearing, and they started capturing airports, refineries, oil storage areas, and there was just chaos in Libya. Eastern Libya was also very destabilized. Egypt was very concerned about this instability in eastern Libya as it borders Egypt. So Egypt was the first backer of Haftar, viewers. When Haftar formed LNA Liberation Army, it was Egypt which started backing Haftar first. UAE came after Egypt. It was Egypt basically which convinced UAE to be part of this war and to start backing Haftar. After that, Russians came and French came. So basically, it was Egypt which started backing General Haftar, because Egypt wanted eastern Libya to be stable, as this area borders Egypt, as I told you earlier. And that is why the interests of Egypt in Libya, they are much, much higher than any other country which backs Haftar. Thirdly, viewers, you know that Abdul Fatah Al Sisi, the president of Egypt, he came into power through a coup, and he overthrew Mohammed Morsi, who was the elected president of Egypt. And Mohammed Morsi, he was imprisoned and he died. Mohammed Morsi belonged to a Freedom and Justice Party. Freedom and Justice Party had backing of Muslim Brotherhood organization. Muslim Brotherhood is banned in Egypt now, viewers. Freedom and Justice Party, it is also banned in Egypt. But this Muslim Brotherhood, it has offshoots, it has branches in several countries of Middle East and Africa. It has its branch in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, in Libya as well. In Libya, Muslim Brotherhood formed a party by the name of Justice and Construction Party. Justice and Construction Party, it is an ally of Faiz Sarraj, GNA. Then Islah Party of Libya, it is also led by a former member of Muslim Brotherhood. So Egypt believes that GNA has ties with those parties which are backed by Muslim Brotherhood elements. And if GNA and Turkey, they also enter eastern part of Libya, Egypt fears that Muslim Brotherhood elements, they will gain influence in eastern part of Libya, and they will spread this influence in Egypt as well. And Egypt is already facing this problem because Egypt is the headquarter of Muslim Brotherhood in the Middle East. So and Egypt carried out a very strict crackdown against Muslim Brotherhood elements. So Egypt fears that if Muslim Brotherhood comes close to its borders, it will further create instability in Egypt as well. Then fourthly, viewers, another apprehension of Egypt is that this Muslim Brotherhood element in Libya, Egypt believes that Muslim Brotherhood of Libya, it has ties with other terrorist organizations like Al Qaeda and ISIS. It is Egypt's stance, viewers, because sometimes what I say, what I quote, people say that it's my view. No, I'm quoting what is the point of view of Egypt. So they say that these Muslim Brotherhood elements, they have close ties with ISIS, with Al Qaeda, and Egypt is facing this problem of terrorism in Sinai Peninsula, fighting going on there. We see attacks from extremists there. So Egypt further believes that if these fighters of Muslim Brotherhood and GNA, they come close to their borders, it will further destabilize those areas of Egypt which are already vulnerable to such extremist and terrorist tendencies. So Egypt has some very genuine concerns, viewers. These concerns are not shared by UAE, Russia, and France. That is why Egypt is threatening of direct military intervention in Libya, viewers. Then, viewers, this offensive launched by General Haftar for western part of Libya, for Tripoli, I believe that Egypt was not totally on board. It was mainly the plan of UAE and Russia, especially UAE. UAE was backing Haftar, and UAE wanted control of whole of Libya. Egypt had to support Haftar. Egypt could not afford to distance itself from Haftar at that time. Egypt had to support Haftar, but Egypt feared at that time that if this offensive in Western Libya failed, it can have its repercussions on Eastern Libya. That is what is happening now, viewers. That Haftar's offensive for Western Libya failed, and now this is having its impact on Eastern Libya. Eastern Libya is starting to be destabilized if Turkey decides to go beyond Sirte and beyond the areas to the east of Sirte. Some analysts are saying that countries like France, Russia, and UAE, they want Egypt to take on Turkey. They want to remain in the background, and they want this war between Egypt and Turkey. Now, viewers, I believe that Egypt has its own apprehension, its own reservations. So, whether or not any country backs it, whether or not any country stands by Egypt, it will definitely intervene in this Libyan conflict if it thinks that this war is spreading into eastern Libya, because Egypt believes that spreading of this war in eastern Libya, it is a threat for its existence. So that is why Abdul Fatah Al Sisi, he has given this very clear message that Egypt will definitely be part of this war if red lines are crossed. Now it's up to Turkey and GNA viewers. So far, so good. I think Turkey is, though Turkey is using very strong language, Turkey is saying that they will definitely go for this offensive for Sirte and the areas to the east of Sirte, and they won't step back. But I think Turkey is taking its time, it's going slow, it is going ahead very wisely. And in the coming days, we might see a breakthrough. If there is no breakthrough, then I think we're moving towards a very large scale escalation in Libya. Thank you for watching.